Talking about Venus in Capricorn, facing the truth of your relationships and sense of beauty. How much do you give? How much do you take? How does it feel? Can you get down to that bare bones level of truth? Talking about Venus in Capricorn. So when Venus is in Capricorn, it has just moved from the inspired and hopeful section of Sagittarius, which is where we look for something of meaning and higher purpose. And of course, Venus is the planet of beauty. Often it shows up in the form of relationships and our interactions with other people. We want to be happy, we want to enjoy life, and much of what we do in order to find that is to surround ourselves with people we like and then do things we like to do with them, right? And in Sagittarius, we're often in some ways very hopeful that we'll find someone. We feel inspired that we'll connect with them, and we're looking for people that inspire us. It's often good for teachers and gurus and whatnot, but often in relationships, it's where we can feel disappointed, where people let us down, where we realize that longing to merge with that beauty of the world that's beyond the world isn't often satisfied with other people, because people are flawed and people make mistakes and people disappoint us. And by the way, we disappoint them too. So you might be having to face some of that reality. And Capricorn is a sign where we have to kind of face that reality, or at least that's what we should be doing. Now again, it sounds like, well, that doesn't sound very nice, disappointment and all of that. But what it does is it makes us humble and appreciate what people have done for us, and be honest and real about our own shortcomings and faults, and how we're also a big disappointment to other people. It's not just that people are here for our benefit to disappoint us, and we just love so much and we're just so right and we're so ready, but everybody's just mean and disappointing. No, to the other people, I guarantee you look just as bad. You're just as much a disappointment. So again, this isn't criticism, this is just reality. And Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is really the planet of reality check time, or not, or maybe it's reality check out time. It's supposed to be reality check. When it's reality check time, then you grow in compassion, empathy, appreciation, humility, and you appreciate, as I say, that someone has tried, and you look within yourself to find that beauty and happiness that you almost definitely projected onto someone else, which is the Sagittarius projection. I'm looking for God, I'm looking for this great thing in a person. That's a lot of projection from your own feeling of lack. That lack of beauty and connection and happiness you project onto someone else, and then all they can do from there is fall short. This is how those projections can be very difficult, especially that sort of romance that we tie up in another person. And again, when Venus goes into Capricorn and we're being real, then we check in with ourselves, realize that if we want the kind of partner we say we want, we also have to be the kind of partner we say we want. We want our partners to accept all of our shortcomings and appreciate us for who we are and all those things, which is Venus in Capricorn. Look, I know I make mistakes, but I'm also beautiful and this and that, and I also try and I'm willing to work on it. Okay, but my partner, they didn't listen to anything. Are you sure you listened? Are you sure that you were meeting them where you wanted them to meet you? Maybe you did. But these are the big lessons and themes that we answer when Venus is in Capricorn. And again, on the more enlightened end of the spectrum, there's appreciation, there's solitude, introspection, and in a general sense, when Venus goes through Capricorn, or let's say someone has it in their natal chart, they tend to be slow. They tend to be practical. And these are great virtues in relationships. Let's say someone has it in their natal chart. Venus in Sagittarius is often, again, that kind of soulmate fantasy kind of thing where we could be disappointed. But when Venus is in Capricorn in someone's natal chart, they often are very practical. They appreciate what others do for them. They are willing to work hard and be of service and be, stay in the fight. Maybe because they have a little bit of a hard time feeling good about themselves, and it takes a little bit of work. So they appreciate when someone else does a little bit of work. And on some level, we're supposed to appreciate anything anyone does for us because, we're kind of in it all alone. If someone loves you enough to try for a while, they're doing their best. Maybe their best isn't very good, but they tried. And again, when we can come from that point of view, we're going to get the most out of our interactions with other people. When we're always going to be looking for what they didn't do, we're always going to be disappointed, and we're always expecting more, and we're hard to please and demanding, we're only hurting ourselves. Because, and that part of Venus that wants to appreciate everything that everyone can do and every source of beauty in the universe. And again, it's not a judgment to say, like, somebody's wrong for doing that. This is how astrology works. It doesn't mean that if you have Venus in Sagittarius or you are disappointed that you're wrong, you're doing something that's wrong. It's not that kind of judgment. It's a recognition of how the energy works. The part of you that Venus rules is looking to love and appreciate and find beauty in everything, including people, not only people. Again, that's where it gets to be too much because we have so much of our life invested in others, and particularly that romantic partner and all, and we kind of lose our way a little bit. And the part of you that wants to find beauty and joy and happiness in everything gets short-circuited when it collapses around these external situations and people, because you're the source of all of it. You're the source of the whole gamut in your own life. First of all, you pick that person. If you're with them all this time and they're so deficient, what does that say about you, if that's the example? That you kept trying to work it out. And again, we turn ourselves into a martyr often with relationships. Oh, it's because, he had so much, he was so damaged. I tried to heal him because I'm such a healer. I'm so great. I'm so compassionate. I'm not saying those things don't happen. But if that was the case, a great healer doesn't then resent the person they're healing. They don't resent it. They don't feel cheated. They don't feel mad. They feel like, okay, well, didn't work, and they can move on. But often what it is, that's kind of the ego sort of spinning out a little bit. When instead, what Venus tries to teach us is to have equality, especially in relationships. In romantic relationships, they're not about this, healer, healed. It's not about a mother-child. It's not this kind of, infantile, relationship. You'll hear this a lot, particularly with women who are like, he wanted a mommy and this and that. But if you're in a relationship where someone wanted a mommy, it's because you wanted to be a mommy for some, to some extent. No one forces us to do that. And again, I'm saying these things because Venus in Capricorn is a time to get real about that kind of stuff and get real about your part in whatever it is. And again, like with men, it's the same thing. Oh, she was this way or she was that way. She was always criticizing me, always doing this. Okay, and why were you there? What were you getting from it? How were you, complicit? How were you not cooperating? How were you expecting her to be this fantasy, pretty little thing that never bothered you? Well, that's not realistic and that's not generous. She was probably willing to do a whole lot more than you were. And you were never, satisfied with her having a brain and her own ideas and whatnot. And so again, we have to get real about these things. I'm just throwing out ideas. Relationships have the whole gamut. And again, so when Venus is in Capricorn, by transit or in the chart, it's that realization, and someone has that capacity to be real about where they find beauty and happiness and joy. In the highest sense, Venus is where we're trying to find happiness for no reason. This is the exalted placement of Venus in Pisces, where we're happy for no reason, where life itself makes us happy, where life itself is beautiful. And the way for life itself to be beautiful is for us to not leave the source of beauty, which is within our own heart. You see, everything that's external is a projection. We project it outward. Again, it's a simple concept, but it's very deep. Everything you're especially engaged in for a long time. Relationships are good to look at for this regard because we wind up being in it for quite a while and trying to make it work and committed. Anything that's that, where you've put that much into it, you're projecting it. It's where you're coming from. And you recognize that other person or that situation, that job, that whatever that thing is that you're engaged in is a mirror reflection of something internal within you. And again, with Venus, there's a lot of projections because it's kind of what we all want, which is to be happy, to enjoy life, to find happiness and beauty, and to be respected and to give respect and love as well. And in many ways, it's kind of the price that we're willing to pay in order to be happy or to increase our happiness, or where we truly find happiness and beauty. And again, what we're willing to do in order to get it. This is especially what we learn in romantic relationships, because we all, at times, feel disrespected, but if we still want to be engaged with that person, we have to swallow that a little bit at times, because we want the connection with the person. But how much of that do we take? And what do we learn about ourselves when we allow ourselves to be humbled? Because our first reaction is usually everything feels disrespectful to our ego. Any little thing we're like, oh, how dare you? But then staying involved with someone forces us to compromise and forces us to look at those parts of ourselves. Right? And so again, this is the big sort of process of Venus anyway, to kind of get us beyond just our own desires for pleasure. And so again, when Venus is in Capricorn, it's time for silence and stillness and peace, introspection, commitment, focus, evaluation of our projections, our expectations, and how those things in many ways cut us off from that true flow of beauty in our heart. And we're the source of it. And it's fine to be looking for a sublime kind of beauty. It's fine to be looking for God to be the most beautiful thing. And in many ways, this is what Venus and Sagittarius can wind up doing, because Sagittarius is literally about, again, higher principles, teachings, even, gurus, religion, and Venus is what makes us happy and where we find beauty. So we're trying to find that beauty in that thing that's beyond the earth. But instead, we have to merge with that beauty in our own heart, rather than project it onto another person who is just going to fall short. And we're falling short to them as well. It's both. And we need to be honest about that and be real about that and be intelligent about it. And so Capricorn energy, Saturn, but as expressed through Capricorn and Capricorn and Aquarius, Saturn shatters our illusions. It shatters our preconceptions and brings this restriction on our kind of fantasies. That's what Saturn does. His influence is to show the limit. You only get so much of this, so much of that. And through Capricorn, it becomes a very internal, psychological limit. So ponder this. People who have Venus in Capricorn or Venus in Capricorn in the sky, is a time for us to really see that as the kind of catalyst, as the seed principle. That's where it begins. And again, then the highest quality of that is to truly introspect and find that beauty in your own heart, and find that fear that you're sort of covering up, which is the Capricorn, and go in and find the compassion and the love and the beauty, even in that fear and in that solitude, and being able to sit with that and find love and compassion and beauty even in that. In a less creative way, it's this kind of bitterness and frustration and having that intensity and that pain overwhelm your own sense of beauty and your own sense of connection to your own heart. And if that's what happens, notice how you take that part of you into your partnerships and expect your partners to kind of fix that for you. Oh, when I was sad, you didn't make me happy. Well, but it's not up to anybody to make you happy. You have to make you happy. No one can make you happy, right? We have to make ourselves happy. We have to find that place of beauty and joy beyond what anybody can do. So notice how you're feeling in that regard. Are you feeling like you've been cheated and robbed and people are just mean and nasty because they're not there for you, and all this is all the kind of tangled up Saturn Capricorn energy? Or are you feeling a sense of stillness and peace and calm where it's like, yeah, I could do better as well, and I'm really grateful for the times that person really tried, and I really tried, and I need to reflect on what the source is of this pain that I'm trying to fill, and this connection to that sublime sense of beauty that I'm trying to fill in my connection with another person. Because no person can fill that connection in me. So ponder these things.